The only Arab and Muslim country that teaches Holocaust in its curricula.
Are you kidding me? They teach the Holocaust.
It's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
Yo guys, it's your boy Shady, the one and only, and today guys, welcome back to Shae Unfiltered. Today we are going to jump into something unexpected. Without saying too much guys, let's go straight into it.
And if they don't believe in texts, they have to know that stones do not lie. So, other than education, but I believe education is a very, very, very important thing to do. When this war ends, we have to de-radicalize Gaza. We have to de-radicalize many schools in the Muslim and the Arab world. But I please want you to know that the Arab voices that support peace in the Middle East, they have a message to many people who conflate Muslims and Islamists. There's a difference between peaceful Muslims who want to pray 5 times a day, celebrate the month of Ramadan, go to Mecca, go do Umrah, and the radical Islamists. A peaceful Muslim would not shut down the roads in Amsterdam or in Toronto or in Montreal to pray. This is not a ceremony of prayer. This is a ceremony of showing power that we are there and one day we will take over.
Is it?
And your liberal freedom that you are giving to those who misuse it will need to be rechecked. But peaceful Muslims, because so many, I don't say so many, but some people who support Israel or who support people they say, well, Islam by itself is lethal, dangerous, we cannot trust Islam. I tell them, please make the difference between spiritual Islam and radical Islam. Please make the difference between peaceful Muslims and radical Islamists. Please make the difference between the Palestinians and Hamas. Because I believe in the right of the Palestinians to live in dignity. I believe in the right of the Palestinians to live in peace. And to those outsiders, the protesters, when they said free Palestine, I said, I agree with you. Free Palestine from Hamas.
This guy, he's speaking very boldly.
A call for action is something that I will conclude. Thank you, my dear friend Nathan, for inviting me here to the Netherlands. And thank you to all organizations in Europe, in America, in Canada that invite the growing minority. Please keep inviting us, that's one. And also, I want you to know that together we can make it work. We can make it work because we believe in a prosperous Middle East. What is our message? To annihilate the Palestinians? To destroy the Palestinians? To stand against the Palestinians? Of course not. We would never badmouth the Palestinians as people. But we would stand against Hamas and radical Islamists because we know them far better than those outside protesting. And we know them far better than the white American Gen Zs. And we know them far better than the Europeans who pretend to stand against Israel, saying that they are doing this for the Palestinians. They do not understand the Middle East. They do not understand radical ideology. They do not understand the Arab world better than Arabs and Muslims themselves. You cannot be more Arab than I am. You cannot be more than Muslim than I am. And I'm telling you, the only way forward is for Arab countries to come along with Israel, a prosperous Middle East, a Middle East where Isaac and Ishmael reconcile, a Middle East where the children of Abraham thrive, live together, a Middle East where the prophecy of Isaiah becomes true when he said, Lo yasa goy el goy heref velo yilmidu od milhama. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. They shall learn war no more. This is my personal battle, and I will keep fighting for it in social media, in podcasts, everywhere. Proudly, whatever the results are, whatever the consequences are, I defeated ignorance and darkness with knowledge, facts, and the truth, and I will keep doing this no matter what it costs. Thank you.
Wow. What a powerful speech. What a powerful speech.
Thank you. Thank you.
You had a standing ovation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Loai,
It's a shame I didn't learn how to say thank you in Dutch.
dankjewel.
Dank u wel. Yeah.
Loai, thank you very much for your very powerful words. Let's start with a question by a guy named David.
Dawood, the king of Israel, who proclaimed Jerusalem as its capital, yes.
David Sulam. Can you sketch out the differences between the Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait into the relation of the Palestinians?
So, many of these countries believe in the right of the Palestinians to live in dignity, of course, for a future that would achieve the aspirations of the Palestinians. But for example, Qatar sees Hamas as part of the Palestinians, and we have a difference here, but we don't believe that Hamas really brings any good to the Palestinian people. The Qataris say that they were asked by the Americans, which is true, unfortunately, to have a bureau for Hamas in Qatar, and this is why they are trying to help, at least to utilize this in the mediation. But many countries, like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, they don't want to see Hamas in the picture in the future for the Palestinians. And I believe that this is the right thing. Hamas should have no future. Hamas brought disaster to the Palestinians. The Palestinians, I say it again, they deserve to live in dignity, but this dignity was taken away from them by radicals and extremists like Hamas.
Yeah.
This is the main difference.
Okay.
Wow, this is coming from an Arab Muslim. And that really makes a lot of difference. Very much.
Did the Abraham Accords change the view of the normal citizens in the Gulf, in your country also, about Jews and Israel?
Of course. I told you, many of my relatives from Egypt and many of my relatives from Saudi Arabia, when they came to the UAE and when they saw how the people-to-people relation work, they really sensed that, you know what, this is my first encounter with an Israeli. Oh, they don't have tails. They don't have fangs. They are not the bad people that we were taught. And the Abraham Accords helped that because it brought people together. And I want to say one thing, if you allow me. Even in this war, the Abraham Accords benefited the Palestinians. You know how? 42% of the aid that got into Gaza, it was offered by the United Arab Emirates. It wouldn't be possible to offer this much of aid to the Palestinians or to the innocent Gazans without the Abraham Accords. You know why? Because you need a high level of coordination with Israel to do this. And the UAE built a field hospital. So the UAE and Saudi, they really understand the difference between the Palestinians who did not choose to be part of this battle and Hamas radicals and terrorists who really orchestrated October 7th to stop or to torpedo the peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel. But they will fail. And I will tell you why I tell you why I think they will fail. Because last night I saw the Eurovision of Yuval Raphael. Big clap to Yuval Raphael.
Yeah.
And when I saw her dancing and singing, and she said, Am Yisrael Hay, I said, you know what? Hamas must be fuming right now because they tried to kill her, but she survived. She hid between bodies, and she sings again, and she will sing again, and the people of Israel will sing and dance. This is how you defeat Hamas and the radicals. Because as they were defeated last night with Yuval Raphael, they will be defeated, inshallah, when more Arab states will have peace with Israel. I know that it's cloudy and gloomy right now because of the war, but when this war finishes, everyone will know that those who stood by Israel stood by the right side of history.
Okay. Do you see a role of your country and all the countries who are signing the Abraham Accords also in the future? Do you see a role for those countries in the future of Gaza?
Absolutely. There will be a great role and involvement, but it will not be on a blank check. Of course, it will be with an authority that will not be Hamas. It will be with an authority that will promise not to bring disaster again. It will be with an authority that will bring peace to the region. But of course, Saudi, UAE, and Egypt and other countries, they will invest hardly in Gaza when Hamas is removed. That is for sure. But with Hamas in power, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
No.
But of course, and also in education. Education, by the way, the UAE is the only Arab and Muslim country that teaches Holocaust in its curricula. It is the only Arab and Muslim country where a Jew can wear a kippah and run safely in the streets of Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It is the only country that has the Abrahamic family house, a church, a synagogue, and a mosque sitting side by side. It is the only country, Arab and Muslim, that considers anti-Semitism a crime, not an opinion, like so many European countries.
Thank you.
Are you kidding me? They teach the Holocaust. They have a church. Let that sink in.
Another question. How does a moderate Muslim like yourself and others win a discussion with those fanatic radical Islamists?
That's a good question. We can win that by telling them that we know Islam better than they do, and we tell them that your interpretation of the faith are interpretation that would not bring benefits to the Muslims, and we can see that on the ground. We can win this discussion by having more prosperous societies. Why do you think radical Muslims, give me a one nation that adopted radical Islam and succeeded? Never.
No.
So the UAE is a moderate Arab and Muslim state. Saudi Arabia is an Arab and moderate Muslim state. Saudi Arabia decided, and by the way, the Crown Prince was so honest with that and was so straightforward. Yes, we had a very dark ages in our country, but we moved forward, we fixed our curricula, we fixed our education system, and we moved forward. We left the radical ideology behind. So I can win an argument with those who say, the custodian of the two holy mosques in the Muslim world, you think you know Islam better than him? Mm-hmm. Or you think you know better Islam than the UAE? Of course not. And look at the societies that adopted moderate Islam. Look at their GDP. Look at their economy. Look at how people living there. Yeah. And look at how people live in Afghanistan or in other radical Muslim states. This is how I would win the argument.
Okay, but you can say the same thing about back to Gaza. You know, if the Gazans choose Hamas
17 years ago.
It's 17 years ago.
And yes. Hamas sabotaged any more election after that. We have to state facts because these details make the difference. Yes, Hamas came into power, but it was one election that was sabotaged later. Yeah. Hamas did not win any more elections. And I can tell you that there are really innocent people in Gaza. There are people in Gaza who protested against Hamas and paid their life for it. We cannot just say there are no innocents in Gaza. Yeah. There are innocents in Gaza.
Yeah, that's true. But there are also children, generations who brought up in those 17 years of Hamas rule. So how do you change those people in?
You cannot change those people by changing education because it's too late, but you can change the regulations. You can change the regulations. Why do they, I ask you again, those protesting outside, why when they come to the UAE they behave? Why so many Gazans when they come to the UAE they would never make anything wrong? Because the regulations are so strict and there is no tolerance for these acts. You know, by the way, there was an incident of an NYU student in Abu Dhabi, a Syrian American who intimidated Jewish students in the graduation ceremony, and he shouted "Free Palestine" in front of them. He just went to the Jewish students and he shouted "Free Palestine." He was taken away from the graduation ceremony. He was interrogated, and months later, he was deported. Zero tolerance to anti-Semitism. And by the way, this is not an act. And those who criticize the UAE by saying, well, you are suppressing freedom of speech. That is not correct. This is not freedom of speech. When you go to Jewish students in specific and you shout "Free Palestine" in a graduation ceremony, you are intimidating them and you're telling them you should not feel safe in the UAE. So the UAE authority tells them, well, you know what? He is wrong and he will be punished. So these are the kind of regulations.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
These are the kind of regulations that will make any anti-Semitic, when they come to the UAE, will think again if they ever do something wrong.
Yeah. Okay, talking about that, you talked about the Muslim Brotherhood. Going to the streets, going to New York, to Amsterdam, everywhere in the West, and you talked about the naivety of the West. So what is the trick of the Muslim Brotherhood to to infiltrate in the West, and why is it so dangerous?
So, first of all, it is so dangerous because they are taking over so many Muslim institutions, and this is also one of the things that we need to, the moderate Muslims need to take into consideration, that we need to compete with them.
The mosques?
Yes,
Yeah.
the mosques. They take control of, and they tell people that we are the official spokesman of the Muslim population.
Oh.
But they hid or they hide their true intentions. You know why we know that? Because we welcome them. By the way, the Muslim Brotherhood, the UAE is the most vicious front against the Muslim Brotherhood. But you know that they started in the UAE in 1972? You know that they flourished in Dubai? You know that Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Abdullah and Sheikh Zayed welcomed them and really trusted them. But you know that they planned a coup d'etat against the royals in Abu Dhabi?
Yep.
So we know how they think. We know they use religion. They use religion against the systems to take control. They want domination. I want to tell you one thing. Many radical Muslims who come to Europe, they don't appreciate that what Europe has given them. They don't want to assimilate. They want to dominate. I asked some people that I know from North Africa who went to France and who became French citizens. And then they say, I hate France. Then why are you in France? Well, the passport is good. I'm enjoying the benefits.
Thank you. He is calling things the way they are, no sugarcoating, just straight on facts, spot on in the face, no time to, beat around the bush. Like, this is A, this is A, this is a spade, it's not a big spoon. This guy has got balls. I'm telling you, we genuinely need more people like this everywhere in the world. I'm not just saying a Muslim, I'm talking about in politics everywhere in the world. Just people that will call things as they are. No time to, play around and lie to me. I'm wearing a black top. It's a black top. I mean, it's navy blue actually. So yeah, navy blue. It might look like black. Just call things as they are. All right? Don't play with me. Don't play with my brain. Don't try to deceive me. We don't want propaganda.
They don't want to assimilate. They want to dominate. I asked some people that I know from North Africa who went to France and who became French citizens. And then they say, I hate France. Then why are you in France? Well, the passport is good. I'm enjoying the benefits. You see, very blunt. But this is the truth. They take things for granted. And why do they take things for granted? Because your laws allow it to happen. So this is why.
So we have to change our laws.
You need to change some of your regulations, at least to protect your own societies, by the way. I'm just telling you, there is a danger in this ideology you do not know, and none of them outside, or the white European or American Gen Zs, will tell you better for the Middle East than Arabs and Muslims who come from the Middle East.
Okay, so the politicians should listen and act.
I really spoke with so many politicians in Canada, and I told them, by the way, there are people who are supporting Hamas in Canada. No way. Give me a proof. And I showed them some tweets. Well, we have to translate it first. We have to put it in context. And we have to understand, do they really mean it or they don't mean it? But we are telling you they mean it. And by the way, when you indulge these terrorists or when you indulge these people, guess what? They will make trouble in your country. Have you heard of what happened, the stampede in Germany 4 months ago? Or people doing stabbing people in the Netherlands and stuff because of the lack of decision making. And the foreign minister of the UAE said that 8 years ago. He gave a prophecy. He said there will come a day when Europe, because of the lack of decision making, you will have extremism born, raised, and come from Europe, not from our states. So you should really change your regulations, and you should listen, at least consult with us. I'm telling you, it's not a regulation against Muslims. You cannot be more Muslim than I am. But a regulation against radical form of Islamic extremism that is dangerous, not only to me as a Muslim, but to you as a European as well.
Yeah. So there are a couple of politicians in the room, so they listen.
I hope they listen to the people who know. I hope they listen to the people in the Middle East. We really want the benefits. We really want the Netherlands to flourish. We really want Europe to flourish. We really want to have a successful collaboration between the UAE, Saudi, and the Middle East with Israel integrated and the Europeans and the Americans. I'm not saying something that should make you worry. I'm not saying that, I'm saying things that would make you
better,
prosperous, and at the same time give you a warning. This is why I always say, even immigration, you don't only need to background check those who come to your country. You need to do a due diligence. You need to inspect so well the history of the people who come. Why do they want to come to the Netherlands? Why do they want to come to America? To assimilate or to dominate? To assimilate or to dominate? And you have to, by the way, even in our Arab countries, when people are given citizenship, if it's not actually something that is very common, but even when people are given citizenship, they are monitored for 10 years just to make sure that they assimilate. We don't want to have a coup d'etat in our country by immigrants who want to break the system.
10 years.
Loai, Al-Sharif, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Wow, his speech was so bold. He's just called out the West for being weak. For having weak laws and regulations. He called out the tolerance in the West for being too lax. People are, taking advantage of it. He also mentioned an Arab country, the UAE, teaches the Holocaust in their curriculum. They have the Abrahamic family house, a church, a mosque, and a synagogue side by side. That is incredible. That is incredible. I'm telling you, the world is progressing. Just that we don't get to see and hear more about these things, but the world is actually progressing. It's little, little by little, but some little change is coming. He said people like him are in the minority, but they are there. They're cropping up slowly, gradually, but surely. It looks like there's going to be change really soon. He even mentioned Yuval Raphael, her performance, how it made him proud, and he could see hope. This is very interesting. Videos like this are the things that we need to hear. You see, the Western world is getting so lax. Our common sense is just, we're throwing it out the window. Okay, we need people that will fact check. A lot of things here is saying is factual because I've researched into some of them. Very interesting video, very mind-blowing, very beautiful. All right, this needs to be spread far and wide. This is me, your boy Shady, the one and only. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned from this. I would like to know what you think about this in the comment section. Drop one thing that really surprised you, something you found very unexpected. All right then, guys, love and peace.
Oh, I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way. You are me. Oh, I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way.